Guys, my stream just dropped again. I don't know what happened. Like, I'm trying to figure out what is the problem with like all this sudden drop of frame rate, and like it's automatically kick me out of the stream. So I'm assuming because of the Wi-Fi, but it could be something way worse. And my computer is overheating, and it kicked me out. It's safe frame rate, but my frame rate is okay.
Of two cards with images. This one up here is a wizard. This one down here is a selfie I took this morning that we are using to represent. Now, these cards are coming straight from the index.html file that we've got over here. And of course, they are being styled by the CSS file that we've got right up here. Now, we're not going to be talking that much about HTML and CSS, but do feel free to investigate these files a little bit more if you want to familiarize yourself with them. Now, we've also got a button down here, and at the moment, this button does absolutely nothing.
Nada.
Because of this, it is an empty index.js file. This is a blank canvas waiting to be painted. It is waiting for you to fill it with code. Let's get stuck in to the first challenge of our app. So at the moment, we can't do very much with all of this hard-coded HTML. So our first priority needs to be to use JavaScript to take control of these two cards. So your first challenge is this. I want you to take the hard-coded HTML for the wizard card, bring it into index.js, and then inject it back into its div with JavaScript. So in index.html, the wizard card lives in this div called hero, and the orc lives in this div called monster. So pause now, just do the first one, just do the wizard, and in just a few moments, we'll have a look together.
Right, so, but we basically do this, right? What do we do with it? Card equal slash. Is it going to be like this? I'm assuming it's like that. Run this, the wizard card from JS. Right? Is it like this? What does she mean by like inject is like putting it back into HTML? But I'm assuming that's how it works. In the HTML. In the HTML. Right, we do this. Characters, card, wizard cards. Right, we have to take it out. Const wizard card equal document dot get element by ID. Is it ID? Let me see. It is a class, so by class name, right? And then we have here wizard card. Let right, and then visit card dot inner. It's in the HTML, right? That's weird. Dot inner HTML. Should be hero. Should be hero. Should be hero, right? Characters card. Right. Right. What? We do this, and then we do visit card equal visit dot inner HTML. Am I doing something wrong here?
Okay, hopefully.
Fun. It's injecting it into. Oh my god, that's why it's wrong. The hero div should be injected into that. Call this hero card visit equal hero card equal visit dot inner. What? Why inner HTML doesn't work here? Inner HTML equal hero card. Run this. Nope. I think I did something wrong here.
Just index.html, and then perhaps you can underneath everything inside this div over here, bring it back to index.js, put it in between brackets.
Okay. In HTML, and then this hero cards.
Just to format it a little bit more neatly. And of course, all of this HTML can now actually be deleted. Now let's see if it works. So on Windows, I can hit Control and S. If you're posh enough to have a MacBook, you can use Command and S, or just get your butler to do it for you. I'm on Windows, so Control and S, and there we are.
What? Control S? Oh, my stuff doesn't work. It's an ID. My ID. Right, okay. Now it works. I was a mess.
It is working. Now that's fine, but I think we've actually done a bit too much work here. We don't really need to create a new const. So I'm actually going to delete it. If we don't need a const, why use one? Let's keep the code nice and clean and write as little as possible.
What we can do here is this. Paste it here. And then we're done. We don't have to do const, nothing else. Nothing else, nothing more.
And let's only declare
Oh.
hero div, which was a function earlier, doesn't exist anymore. Because now let's go over and then back in index.js, we can come right underneath here, and I will say document to get
Oh.
object.
Not love.js.
By ID method on it. We know the div that we want to control has the ID of monster, and then we can access the inner HTML of that div, and between the backticks, let's come onto a new line. And again, I'll just format this up a little bit neater. Now, if we hit save, there we are. It is working. Now we've got a long way.
Strip out the hero.
These strings here, we've effectively got all of this hard-coded HTML, and that's not going to be very useful. So let's do something about that next. What I want you to do is to strip out all of the data for our characters from these HTML strings, and I want you to store them in variables. So that is going to be 5 variables for the wizard and 5 for the orc. Next, we're going to write a function called render character, and that function is going to accept those 5 variables, and it is going to render out a character with this data. So in the end, we will call render character twice, once for the wizard, once for the orc, and we should see both of our characters. Have a go at that now, and I'll see you back here in just a moment, and we'll...
Right, strip out the hero, monster, and monsters data. Hero and monster data. Store them in a variable. Right, we do const. I'm assuming it's like that. So there's 5 of this. Copy. Right, and then we do characters caught. Equal document dot get element by ID by class name, element ID, name, avatar. Health. Dice score equal. This is going to be document class name, all class. Going to be what is it called? Name, avatar, health, and dice containers. Copy this. Avatar, this. Health, this. Dice containers. Write a render characters. Renders characters. Function renders characters. And then pass in the 5 parameters: name, characters, parts, and commas, name, avatar, commas, health, and then this is dice score. This function calls once with hero variable and once with the monster variable. What the frick? I'm assuming that is run this character twice. Here and then here with the hero variable and once with the monster variable. So this hero monster. Is it going to work like this? Oh!
The next one I want is the hero here. So that's the source of the image. Now we need the health, which is 70.
Oh, that is.
Score. I'm going to say hero dice roll, and that is equal to 6. Everything we need for the org. Okay, now we're on to the function. So we say function character, and inside the curly braces, I'm just going to cut and paste that whole code. This function needs to take in 5 parameters, and we can call them what we want, but of course it's good to be descriptive, so I am going to go with element ID, name, avatar, health, and dice roll. And then now we can see about updating what we've got inside the body of the function. So firstly, we need the element ID to be in here, so we can delete all of that and pop it in there. Now this string here is inside these backticks. So that means that this is a template literal, so we can use the $ and curly braces to
So that is what is one.
really easily. So the name, we can come in here where it says wizard, we'll delete curly braces and name.
I see.
The source of the image, we want to keep those inverted commas. Inside them, $ curly braces, avatar. And I think you get the idea now. Okay, so now we can delete all of this down here, which we no longer need. And if we save, well, we get nothing. Why is that? Of course, we haven't called this function. So let's do that next. We're going to say render character. And what do we need to pass in? Well, we need to pass in each one of our variables for the given monster. Remember, we are going to call this function twice. So the first one, let's pass in hero element ID, hero
What? This is a lot of work. Didn't expect it.
hero health, and hero dice roll. And let me just quickly do the same thing for the orc. So now, if we save, let's see what we get. And there we are. We've now managed to render.
Div name. Does it know that? Oh, because here is like a, it's like a general variable, and then just pass in, oh, hero. Now I'm supposed to pass in hero here. Complicated. Quite. This is like advanced stuff for now.
Render both of our cards again. We're making progress here. Scrimba.
Complicated.
Inside the but all of these constants here that you just wrote out, we're going to change them. I did warn you at the beginning that this was going to involve refactoring, and it starts here. I want you to recognize that declaring all of these individually is actually pretty obnoxious. It's
Exactly. I was wondering this as well. Like, why is it? Why are you hard coding this?
if we have one or two pieces of data, but when all of this is related to one entity, like what we really need to do is put it all together into an object.
Yes, an object.
So here's your challenge. I want you to convert each set of these 5 consts to an object. One called hero and one called monster. Then I want you to update the render character function so that it accepts a single object, data, as its parameter instead of the 5 strings and numbers we've been passing in so far. Then you'll need to update the template because each of these variables will now be coming from data, not from these 5. And lastly, you'll just have to think about how we call that function. So again, we've got the 5 in here. That is going to change. So pause now. Have a go at that.
This is a lot simpler. Yeah, let's call this hero, and then we do curly bracket equal first, has to equal, and then here we're going to pass in. Right here is element ID. Right, commas. We do this 2 dots thingy. Forgot what it called. This. Right, we do name. So I want it to be all lowercase. Right, name. Call this ID. Let's call this health. Dice roll. We are going on the advanced stuff, guys. Advanced here. This is pretty. It's not hard, but like it's complicated. Complication. Constant into 2. So this is supposed to be const. Right, we do the same thing, but we change it. Delete all this. Now we do this is monster. Monster. It's hard to type when you have a lot of wires in front of your hands. Resort. Alright, 10. This is going to be 4. Right. Now we delete this as well. Update the renders function so that it's going to call ID. So it's going to be element ID, name, avatar, health, dice roll. That's good. ID, right? Now we do. Yes, this one is good. Element ID. ID here. Yes. And then this is going to be name, avatar, health, dice roll. That's good. So we are going to pass in here hero dot ID, hero dot name, hero dot avatar, hero dot health, hero dot dice roll. Monster dot ID, monster dot name, monster dot avatar, monster dot health, and monster dot dice roll. Let's run this. Hero P. Okay, it's good. Try this.
So the first thing we need to import, so instead of these longer exists, we just want to take in data.
Data.
Now we need to think about of these variables that we've got in here. Well, now they're coming from data. So what we're going to do is come in front of all of them, and we're just going to put data dot and then the property from this object. Now let's just do the same up here. Now we need to think about this function. So instead of calling all of these, which no longer exists, we just want to take in data. Now we need to think about all of these variables that we've got in here. Well, now they're coming from data. So what we want to do is come in front of all of them, and we're just going to put data dot and then the property from this object. Now let's just think about how we call the function. So instead of passing in those 5, we can pass in, well, for the wizard, hero, and for the monster, monster.
Whoa!
Control save. Look at that.
Holy fuck! So data is like a variable. Parameter is basically variable. This is an argument, right? Variable, parameter, parameter, element ID. just like a it's just like a fake variable name, let's call it like that, so that it's going to recall him later. So right now render characters now is like a something called data, which is a fake one. We don't have that in here. So that document get element by ID. Now this fake variable is going to be called with element ID. So call element ID of this fake variable, blah blah blah, fake name, fake avatar, fake health, fake dice rolls. And then down here, when we call renders characters, then we open bracket, close bracket, hero. Now this data has a name. Now it's replaced into here. It said if you don't do like this data thingy, if you don't have a fake like parameters, you will have to write it twice, because now if hero pass into here, now it's only render out hero, right? So instead of writing this 2 line of code, you would have to write this 2 block of code instead of just 1 block, which is way more efficient, way more better. It's way better. Yeah. So I'm assuming it's better. Okay, but this variable and argument thingy, I will have to think about it. It's called refractors. Refactoring is basically don't repeat yourself, but it's in a more fancier. It's a fancier way of saying don't repeat yourself. Jeez. Ooh.
I want to talk about object destructuring. Well, it's a feature which enables you to easily extract properties from objects and bind them to variables, which is something we need to do a lot in our app. Now, if that sounds like a bit of a mouthful or doesn't immediately make sense to you, don't worry, let's head straight into a practical example. Can you recognize?
Ooh. Is that Top Gun?
Top Gun.
Ooh.
Classic. You've got to love.
Ooh.
Right? No. Anyway.
Tom Cruise.
Object called favorite film, and I've stored some data in there about Top Gun. Now, if I wanted to extract these and save them as variables that I could use in an app, as we already know, I would have to do something like this. So I would say const title is equal to favorite film dot title. Now say I want to log out a sentence which looks something like this, but instead of hard coding all of these details like the film name and the film's release date, I want to take that data from this object. Well, I'm going to have quite a bit more typing to do. Let me just do it quickly. Okay, that was boring and obnoxious to do, and there were only 5 properties in the object. Imagine if there had been 50. But at least now I can log out my sentence. So if I hit save, and we can see in the console we are getting my sentence. So it works, but this is only a small object, and we have written out the word const 5 times. We've written out favorite film.
I'm assuming we are going to do something like a pseudo class. A pseudo... It's called parameters. I call it pseudo variable. It's basically the same thing. It's a fake variable that we can use to reassign later. Which is a pretty brilliant thing for JavaScript. I'm assuming Python is going to have that as well, but I wasn't learned about it. No, I think it did, but I don't use it that much in Python. But let's go back to the video.
In other words, twice. I'm sure you've heard the dry, do not repeat yourself.
Do not repeat yourself.
Dry. It's actually really annoying. And if there were 50 properties in here that we needed to get our hands on, that would take forever. Luckily, there is a new way. Let me just comment out all this old code. Now, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to write const just once. And then this is the new bit. I'm going to immediately open up curly braces, and inside the curly braces, I'm going to list as many property names from the object as I want. And in this case, I'm going to take them all. So I will say title, comma, year, comma, genre, comma, star, comma, director. And now I am going to set this equals to the name of the object that I am destructuring. So I just need to put...
Wait.
Now I am going to set this equals to the name of the object that I am destructuring. So I just need to put favorite film. Let's hit save and see what happens. And we can see down in the console, this is working. And that is so much drier, so much easier, and so much quicker. Const and favorite film have gone from being written 5 times.
What about we can use console log? My favorite name is the $, and then the favorite films dot titles. Right? Can we do that? I'm assuming we could, but like we are learning about something else. So that's why it's not working. It's not.
Just once each, and all of these property variable names here, which we needed to write twice in the first example, have now been written also only once. Now, if you're geeky enough to count, in this small example, we have gone from using 20 words here to 7 words here. I just checked that. That is a pretty impressive save.
Impressive.
So from now on, when you want to get properties from an object, all you need to do is declare the const or a let, open up the curly braces, list out the properties that you want, and set it equals to the name.
Yes.
It's going to be your turn. I've got a challenge ready for you in the next scrim. When you're ready, I'll see you then.
So this was in a star. No, star as well. Year as well. So. Oh, it's for reusability. So you don't have to repeat yourself like a bunch of times. I see. That's pretty neat.
It's challenge time. I want to talk holidays. This is a picture of the fair city of Austin, Texas, and I want to go there. But I don't want to mess around on the water like these people. I just want to spend my holiday at the Tesla factory.
Ooh. Sexy.
Right here, I have given you an object populated with empty strings. Your challenge is this. I want you to complete the object Dream Holiday with whatever information is true for you. Feel free to add extra properties or change the existing ones as much as you want. When you've done that, I want you to destructure the object and use the individual variables to log out 1 or more sentences about your dream holiday. I have put an example for me right here. I'd love to go to Austin, Texas to visit the Tesla HQ. I'll sleep in a luxury ranch and hang out with Elon Musk all day.
Elon Musk.
Pause now, complete this object, give this your best shot, and I'll see you back here in just a moment.
Okay, we do this.
Hopefully you got that to work just fine.
Elon Musk. Frame rate drop. Is it? Oi. Okay, we do complete the object. Dream holiday, whatever you want. I don't think I need more. My completed. Feel free to add extra property. Destructure. Const. Not coon, const dream. This is going to be destination. Open curly braces. Destination. Activity. Commas. Accommodation. Commas. Companion. Then we do equal dream holiday. And now I want to log out. So let's say, right, you have two, let's say you have two objects. One is dream holiday and then one is const dream day, something like that. And they're the same. No, it's not the same, right? Oh, what am I doing? I'm assuming it's only work for once. Right? Let's see. Console log. I would love to sleep, hang out with Elon Musk. Got to go to Austin, Texas. Change it into a hash. Destination. To visit. Activity. Activity. Sleep in a luxurious luxury ranch. Accommodation. And hang out with Elon Musk. Commas expected. What? Get out of here. We do Austin, Texas. And we do activity. Going to be visit Tesla. The Tesla HQ. Accommodation is going to be luxury ranch. And then what do we do here? What do we do? Companion Elon Musk. Companion Can we do this? Control D, 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 D. Can we do this? Can we do this? Boop. That's good. Run. Yes. Oh, 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 oh. La, la, yeah, 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 yeah.
And of course, I'll put you to celebrate. We are going to put this to good use back in our app. When you're ready, I'll see you in the next scrim. Let's put everything we learned in the last scrim into practice. You can probably guess what we're going to do.
Productivity probably this low today. I'm trying to. I will do as much as possible.
I want you to take this data object that comes into the render character function, and I want you to destructure it so we don't have to keep writing the word data.
Data.
Have a go at that, and I'll see you back here in just a moment.
So what's data? What deconstruct the data object? Oh, we can do two monster. Two monster. Oh, we can do name const. Update the template string as necessary. Do we have to do this? Const data const this name avatar got the element ID Thomas avatar Thomas health Thomas dice roll. Oi E equal to, this is data, right? We do that. Update the template string as necessary. What do we have to do here? We can do name. We can do name here. Name. Avatar. Health. And then dice roll. Less repeating. More competing. Oh!
Okay, hopefully that is all. Use data dot and remove it. So I think we should be able to do that all in one go in the next scrim.
Okay.
I've added a dice count property to our objects here and here. And that is because our characters are going to have more than one dice, potentially. They're going to have between 1 and 3 dice. So what we need to do is render out the allotted number of dice for each character. At the moment, the wizard is going to have 3 dice and the orc is only going to have 1 dice, which hardly seems fair, but there we are. So this is your challenge. We need to set up a let called dice.html, and we're going to initialize it with an empty string. Next, we need to use a for loop to update dice.html with the number of dice needed specified by the dice count property in the object. Each dice is going to use this string of HTML as its template, and that means for now, each dice is just going to show the number 6. We will change that, of course, later. The last thing we need to do is to swap out the dice roll variable for our dice HTML. Be a bit careful when you do that. Think about what you need to do. There's a couple of pitfalls in this. Give it your best shot, and I will see you.
Right, we do declare a let called dice HTML and initiate with an empty string. Alright, mate. Alright. Call dice let dice HTML equal initialize with an empty string. So it's going to be this. We do this, and then we do use a for loop to update dice HTML so it contains the HTML for our dice. Where the frick is our dice? HTML. So we write a for loop first. For loops. Solve it one by one. One time at a time. One thing at a time. So we're going to do for I let I equals 0. First of all, have to remember the for loops. For loops is really important. It's the sexiest loop ever. I less than dice HTML. That length. Sexiest loop ever. Dice plus plus. So that it can contain the HTML for our dice. The number of dice needed and specified. In the dice count property of the object. What the frick? Each dice should have the following HTML. Wait a minute. Hello. I have quite a runny nose today. My focus level probably down here, but took the Saturday and Sunday off so I can like step back and think about everything thoroughly so that we can come up with the best plan. Trying to make a few short this week. Hopefully it could go well. Other than that, I don't think we are going to finish this course within 5 days. We either have to like really rush it, which I don't really want to, especially we are going into the APIs, like new stuff, API JavaScript, advanced JavaScript, Flexbox, React Native, React.js. So let's change the due date by the 31st. 31st, hopefully could be able to finish it. Yeah, I should not rush this thingy. Alright. I still have like 4 hours left on this, but it's CSS. It's CSS, guys. I don't really like CSS that much, so we just skip through it. Maybe later on when we about to finish it, we're going to go back and like study some CSS. CSS is such a pain in the ass, pain in the butthole. Right, we do for loop update dice HTML so that it contains the dice count property of the object. Same. You hate HTML as well? CSS, I mean. Yeah, it's such an annoying language. Yeah, CSS. I feel like that language, it's just for the look, right? When it's like a CSS is like a hot girls, like looks really amazing, but I don't want to say it, but like doesn't have a brain. Yeah, that's how I look at CSS, right? JavaScript is like a average, mediocre girls, but like has smart. She is smart. She is smart. CSS hot, but no brain. Stupid. Stupid. Other than that, let's move back to this. So you like mediocres to like ugly girls, but like who has a brain, right? Brain matters. Brain matters. All right, we do a for loops, and then we have to do this. I'm pretty stuck on this, so let's see if we can figure it out. Use a for loop, update the dice HTML so that it can contain the HTML for our dice. Dice HTML dot index HTML going to be equal to in the HTML always has this bracket. It's annoying. It's like not the single quotation mark or like double quotation mark. It is the buttons next to number 1 on your keyboard, which is pretty annoying. Pretty annoying. But I don't understand why, because if you do double or single quotation mark, it's going to be converted into a string instead of like in the HTML, which is like the stuff that we want. So it's reasonably complicated, right? It's not like CSS where you have to figure out some of the hidden values, the default value which is not shown to you. Really annoying when we work with CSS and you don't remember the default values, right? So we do this, and I'm assuming we do this, right? Contain the HTML for our dice. HTML, the number that we needed, is specified in the dice count property of the object. Well, I'm assuming this is how we do it. Boom, ba, boom, ba. For now, each die will display 6. Swap out the dice roll variable for dice HTML in the template. I'm assuming this dice HTML. We are creating a it's like a role playing, but I feel it's more like a, you know, League of Legends card games where you have like 2 champions fighting each other. It's basically that. Like it's going to get a given values, like this champion wizard has like 60 health and like 20 AD, something like that. Really interesting.
Just a moment. Dice equal I++.
Dice count.
I is less than.
Where's the dice count? Dice count. Dice count. It didn't say dice count. Oh, dice count. Okay. we are a little bit wrong, guys. Dice count. Do we do dice count here as well? Where's this dice count? Why can we put it? HTML. Nothing here. Where's this dice count here? Dice roll. We have dice roll. Yes. Dice roll here.
Dice equals. Then we increment I with I plus value we want to add to it. So we're going to use plus equals, and then I'm going to take this string of HTML
Huh.
acting as a
What? That's insane. So we plus equal. Why is it? Why is it?
we're going to take dice HTML
Want to remember it?
and we want to update it. We don't want to write over it each time.
Okay.
We want to add it. So we're going to equals, and then I'm going to take this string of HTML.
Usually when we have a for loops, it's usually plus equal. Plus equal, good choice.
I'm going to put it inside backticks, and there we are. The next thing we need to do is come down to dice roll, and we want to swap that out for dice HTML. But that could cause us some problems because look what's happening here. We are rendering the whole div with its CSS class. And now we've also got that here. So we're going to end up with 3 dice for the wizard inside a div which is actually holding the same class name. That's a bit strange. So actually, it is surplus to requirements. Let's take it away. And if we save that, I think we're actually going to run into a problem. Let's see what happens.
Not going to read out. Yeah.
The dice count is not defined. So what didn't we do? We didn't destructure dice count. So we can just do that now.
Destructure dice count.
And there we are. The wizard has got 3 6s. The orc has got 1 6.
Why is it 3 6? Oh, because this count 3.
I'll see you in the next script.
Okay. It's getting harder.
These dice can't keep displaying 6s forever. Eventually, we're going to be dynamically creating random dice values to replicate rolling the dice. But for now,
Need some coffee, guys. Give me a moment. I'll go grab some coffee. And yeah, because my brain doesn't work. My brain doesn't work. I want it to work. Want it to focus. Ra 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 ra. La 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 la. Bum 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 bum.
Our single dice roll value we've got here is an array. Let's imagine the wizard has rolled a 3, a 1, and a 4, and that the orc has rolled 2. If we now save this code, of course we see nothing. But if we look down at the for loop, we can easily see why. These dice can't keep displaying 6s forever. Of course, eventually we're going to be dynamically creating random dice values to replicate rolling the dice. But for now, let's replace our single dice roll value that we've got here with an array. Let's imagine the wizard has rolled a 3, a 1, and a 4, and that the orc has rolled 2. If we now
We're going to random int the damage, call it the damage. So it's going to give you a range of damage that's going to be infinite, so that when the computer run and then the health go to 0 and someone win. I'm assuming that's how it works. Basically how most game works.
This for loop is only using dice count. We're not actually using this dice roll array at the moment anywhere. So this for loop is just looping through dice count number of times. That's 3 for the wizard, 1 for the orc, and rendering a 6 every time. So your challenge is this. Can you update the for loop so it uses a value from the new dice roll array to render out the dice so that the wizard's dice have a value of 3, 1, and 4, and the orc's single dice has a value of 2.
Right, so we do. Wait, we already have 2. Update this loop so that it's use a value from the new dice roll. Right, dice roll. That's div dice, and then we do hash this, and then we do dice roll here. We have a dice roll here, so we have to update the data somewhere around here. Dice HTML dot plus. So render out the dice so the wizard dice have a value of 10. And then dice HTML. Right, let's try this. Run 316. And it's not here. It's not here. Let's render out right, but remembering one of it. Try this. Let's see what happens. Nope. Plus. Increment by 1. What a so I have to display this within this. I'm assuming it's like that, right? I'm assuming we have to. Oh, we have to do this. E. Right.
Pause now, see if you can do that, and I'll see you in just a moment.
You got it.
Now, let's see what happens if we save that. And there we are. It works. We've got the 3, 1, and the 4.
It works. It works. It works.
thing, so absolutely fair enough if you did it that way. This works, and that's good, but
Right now, I'm assuming this is what we need to do. We have to do random floor and random int. Is it random int? Random floor and random float and random int this. So that's given us a random value from something to something. I don't know. It depends on how this guy designed the game. And then we also randomize this dice roll, right? So it can give you a random number in the array. So this is going to be an empty array. Run out of breath. Right? Empty array. And then somewhere in here in the function we would call dice roll equal random floor, random float. Yeah. And then somewhere down here, when we already display it, we have to minus. We have to do the health. It's going to depends on how much this guy roll. It's going to be deducted to the health of the opponent. And then we have to do the conditional statement where it's like health equals 0, then the opponent win. Like wizard health equals 0, orc win, vice versa, something like that.
this actual scrim has a problem with for loops, and so that might have given you a clue that I'm not too happy with this. For loops are repetitive and messy. They can be quite hard to read unless you comment them, which can get annoying. And they almost always involve setting up a new variable of some kind and then updating its value or mutating it in some way. For example, here we start with an empty string and then we update it on each loop. None of this is the end of the world, but as the complexity rises, so does the likelihood of unwanted side effects and bugs. And there are easier ways to do this, more modern ways. So
Is it a
if we
while
wanna
loop?
First make it work, then make it better. Well, we've made it work, so in the next scrim, we'll look at one way of making it much better.
Make it works. Make it better.
And then we can wave goodbye to our for loop.
Sounds like a relationship. At first you make it work. At the end you make it better. I'm giving out some really good relationship advice.
I'll see you there.
Map. Oh,
Let's take a moment to look at an inbuilt feature of JavaScript that you are going to use again and again when iterating over arrays. I want to introduce you to the .map method. Mapping over arrays is a core front-end development. You'll see how much quicker and cleaner it is than relying on for loops.
I'm assuming this is like a while loop in JavaScript. A while loop is basically an infinite loop where it's run, doesn't stop until you tell him stop. A for loop, it run until it's run out the value, right? Run on a set of values, set up something like the increment. If it like the length of the array is like 3, it's just run 3 times. Or like 2 is run 2 times. Or 4 is run 4 times, and then it's done. But a while loop, you don't put anything in. You can do conditional statements. It automatically run, yeah, and then run until it run out.
So what does the .map method do? Let's take a real quick example from
Ooh.
here at Scrimba. This array is a price list for our products, and these 3 numbers represent our monthly, 6 monthly, and annual pro membership these in US dollar cents. And we're using cents because actually it's really common for databases to hold function value in their smallest units. And by the way, this is a real world example, but it's not real world data. So if you're paying more or less than this, don't stress.
Don't stress, baby.
Students' prices in cents. That would look ridiculous. So before we render anything on our website, we need to take these values and convert them to dollars.
Dollars.
It would be helpful to put a dollar sign.
Oh, my Wi-Fi is better now.
When you want to make the same change to each element in an array, the .map method is the perfect tool for the job.
Perfect tool.
The .map method, a function that does one task. It takes in a number and it returns a string containing that number divided by 100 to turn cents into dollars, and with a dollar sign concatenated to the front. What would happen if we use the .map method?
Right. I need to go toilet break. I'm a little Boom! Okay, we will go back.
Take a moment to look at an inbuilt feature of JavaScript that you are going to use when iterating over arrays. I want to introduce you to the .map method. Mapping over arrays is a core front-end developer skill, and with a little practice, you'll see how much quicker and cleaner it is than relying on for loops. So what does the .map method do? Let's take a real-world example from right here at Scrimba. This array is a price list for our products, and these three numbers represent our monthly, 6-monthly, and annual pro membership fees in US dollar cents. And we're using cents because actually it's really common for databases to hold monetary value
Có đi
in the smallest unit.
Tàu.
Hà Nội không đi tàu, ra Hà Nội có chơi, mẹ cũng bay ra Hà Nội.
So if you're paying more or less than this, don't stress. Now we can't show our students prices in
Bay về điểm rồi.
that would look ridiculous. So before we render anything on our website,
Vùng sau
we
nữa.
take these values and
Chưa
convert
vùng
them
sau.
to dollars. And it would also be helpful to put a dollar sign in front of
Hai
it.
ngày con tự do.
When you want to make the same change to each element in an array, the .map method is the perfect tool. So imagine we give the .map method a function to see how much quicker and cleaner it is than relying on for loops. So what does the .map method do? Let's take a real-world example from right here at Scrimba. This array is a price list for our products, and these three numbers represent our monthly, 6-monthly, and annual pro membership fees in US dollar cents. And we're using cents because actually it's really common for databases to hold monetary value in their smallest units. And by the way, this is a real-world example, but it's not real-world data. So if you're paying more or less than this, don't stress. Now, we can't show our students prices in cents. That would look ridiculous. So before we render anything on our website, we need to take these values and convert them to dollars. It would also be helpful to put a dollar sign in front of them. When you want to make the same change to each element in an array, the .map method is the perfect tool for the job. So imagine we give the .map method a function that does one task. It takes in a number and it returns a string containing that number divided by 100 to turn cents into dollars, and with a dollar sign.
Wait. So I'm assuming a .map function is like a, how can I say it? Of a loops that can execute some conditional statements, right? A for loop just like you have to increment it, and it's basically just work for incrementing stuff, right? With this, I'm assuming we can add conditional statement, and you can add things into it. Let's listen to it again. Let's see, is it?
We can't show our students prices in cents. That would look ridiculous.
Yes.
Before we render anything on our website, we need to take these values and convert them to dollars, and it would also be helpful to put a dollar sign in front of them.
Dollar sign in front of them.
Same change to each element in an array, the .map method is the perfect tool for the job. So imagine we give the .map method a function that does one task. It takes in a number and it returns a string containing that number divided by 100 to turn cents into dollars, and with a dollar sign concatenating to the front. Let's see what would happen if we use the .map method to call that function on each element in our price list cents array. So it starts by applying our function to the very first element in the array, and then it takes the value that that function returns, our string with the amount in dollars and the dollar sign, and and it places it in the first element of a new array. When that's done, it moves on to the second element.
This is actually a brilliant function that might be really useful.
The original array, and it does the same thing, and this time it saves the value as the second element in this new array. It then moves on and repeats the process until the function has been called on every element in the array. And when it's done, we have our new array, which is the same length as the original array, and the original array is still intact. We haven't mutated.
So it's basically, this is not a while loop. It is a smarter while. It's a It is smarter for loops for. So it can. It's a for loop. It's basically a for loop that has. But we can do conditional statement. We can add some function into. We can add some operation into it. I'm assuming it has. That's how .map function works, right?
Changed it in any way. Now just note that this new array here is an array of strings. That's just because we've concatenated this $sign. If we'd just been working with numbers, the function would have returned and this would be an array of numbers. Right, let's move over to the editor and get hands-on with the code. I've got a slightly different example for you here. A business in Europe has got an array holding its monthly energy cost in euros for the past 6 months. It needs to provide that data to its headquarters in New York, but they want the figures in US dollars, not in euros. This for loop here loops through the array and uses this exchange rate to convert the euros into dollars. It then pushes the new values to this array.
Okay, let's push. Okay.
Dollars. And if we save it, we can see that it works, but it's got all of the problems with for loops that we've already discussed. So let's see how the .map method could make our lives easier. Now, the first thing to remember about the .map method is that it gives us a new array, and we need to save that array to a const. So I'm actually going to reuse this name up here. So I'm going to declare const energy cost dollars. Now I'm going to set that equals to the original array energy cost euros, and I'm going to call the .map method on the end here, and because it's a method, it needs its brackets or parentheses if you prefer the longer word. Now here inside these brackets, we're going to pass map the function that it's going to call on each element in the array in turn. And we can build that function right here as an anonymous inline function. So I'm going to declare that function with the function keyword and give it
For loops, right?
Now the function that we pass to map receives a parameter, and this is really important. The parameter is not optional. This parameter represents the element in the array that is currently being worked on. Now it's a good convention to give it a name that makes it clear that it represents one item of the items in the array. So if this was an array of cars, we might call this parameter car. Well, this is an array of costs in euros, so I'm going to call this parameter euro cost. Now let's open up the body of this function with the curly braces, and just as an experiment, let's just log out what this parameter euro cost actually is. And I'm just going to comment out this other console.log. And as I hit save, if we open up the console, what we see
It's all print out,
basically
right?
a copy of this original array, except it's no longer an array. We're just getting it logged out element by element. So we can see really clearly that Eurocost is just representing each individual element of the array, and the .map method is iterating over the array and logging out each individual item in turn.
Interesting.
Let's do the maths. So if we multiply euro cost by the exchange rate, let's hit save. And again, down in the console, we can now see that we have got our figures in euros converted into dollars. Now, the .map method gives us a new array. So instead of logging this out, let's return it. And now I'm going to uncomment this console.log. So we should just see what we get in energy cost dollars. Let's hit save. And there we are. We've got what we wanted. We've got an array. It's the same length as the original array. And each element in the array has had this.
Interesting. So let's break it down. Right. So const energy cost dollars. This is what we want. So we basically want to our energy cost in euro to be converted into energy cost in dollars, right? So const energy cost dollars equal to energy cost euro dot map. Map is basically a how can I say it? A function. It's a complicated one. So you can perform some sort of function in it. Let's see a dot map, like dot map function, dot map in JavaScript. Let's see how it works. Then we can like figure it out. Create a new array from calling a function for every array element. Call function once. Does not execute function for empty element. Does not change original. So it has to be a parameter inside a function. Assuming that's how it works. Dot function map and the function your cost. Cost is basically a parameters. And then we pass into euro cost.
Function on it. So now each cost in euro is now converted to in dollars.
Basically, this is just for reusability and the need for dot map function. It cannot be an empty function. Basically have this function parameters, numbers is the numbers, right? Just print out every numbers in this array. Just map out and then it's returned into it put into a function called euro cost, a parameter called euro cost, and then return euro cost. This is where the operation can be executed. Right, return euro cost times something like this, console log. Okay, I got it. Well, this is complicated. It's a bit confusing, especially with we now work with parameters and argument. It's quite, how can I say it? Quite confusing.
It's time for a challenge. We've used the .map method to log out some arrays, and now you're going to use it to render some HTML. Here we have an array holding the names of guests for a birthday party. And this for loop down here is looping through the array, and it is adding some HTML template string to each element and pushing the results to guests HTML. And down here we are rendering out guests HTML so it appears on our page. Now, when you run that, you'll notice that we're getting these strange commas separating each name in our list. We don't want that, but I want to warn you now that when you implement the .map method, those commas will still be there. Don't worry about them for now. They're a specific problem, and we're going to deal with them in the next script. So here's your challenge. Refactor this code down here to use the .map method instead of the for loop. And as I said, don't worry about the commas. So pause now, give this your best shot, and we'll have a look together in just a moment.
Right, so we do guest list, right? Or we do, oh no, guest list is the one after. We do guest at HTML. Let's comment this out. The stuff is more of the logical stuff than equal guest list dot map. Where is the open bracket like this function? Call this guest name. And then we do this. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Console log. .log. Guest name. Run. Assignment to constant variable. And we do guess. Const guest list, right? Let's print out everything. I want it to be guest.push HTML. Document get element by ID, guest.html. Oh no, I want to shove it in to guest.html. Right, so guest HTML is equal to document get element by ID, this in HTML. Go guest HTML. Right, we do the console log. This stuff is quite more coffee, I guess. More coffee. Document that get element by ID list .html in HTML equal guest HTML. We push the basically what we can do is return guest name. Right? Turn guest name. Oi. This is hard. Let's see.
Let's take a moment to this $sign. If we set that equals to is the perfect each element in our price list sense array. Time it saves the value as the second numbers, the energy cost dollars. And if we save it, we can see that it will call the .map
map
method on the end here, and because it's a method, it needs its brackets or parent in the array in turn. And we can build that function right here as an anonymous inline function. So I'm going to the parameter give it a path. Well, this function without this other console individual element of the array and the .map method by the exchange of the array, let's hit save, gives us a new array. So instead of logging this out, let's return it. And now I'm going to uncomment this console log. So we should just see what we get in energy dollars. Let's hit save.
It's automatically, you don't have to declare it. Okay. Right here. I see what is wrong. Guess.html. Oh, I'm assuming it's faster. HTML. Right, to return guest name. And then we do console.log. We call guest HTML. Try it. We run, right? It's good, it's good, it's good. Now we do document.element by ID equal this. Now, bada bing, bada boom. Let's hope this works. Oh, it doesn't work. Oh, we do this. Div box. Div box. And then we do hash. We do guest list. Guest.html. I'm assuming it is okay now. It has to display. Oh, plus equal. So it's going to remember. Missing initialize. What the fuck? Guess HTML. Document get element by ID. It's going to be a list. Plus equal. Here. Not that. Here. Run. Still remembering. Can we do a guest name? One by one. Let's run inside a loop. Unexpected token. Has to run. Oh, I'm assuming this is here. Has to run in this loop. Right, let's close this out. Run. Doesn't work. Guest name. Let's do guest name. We do guest name. Guest.html. Can we return this? Return. Document.html. Can we put in guest name here and set up guest.html? See this? Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. Let's go, let's go. Got it, got it. So we print out the guest name instead of like guest.html. I guess it's a list. It's a list. So let's see what guest name is. Console.log. It's going to be guest name run this. Guest name is not defined because it's in this thingy. It's in this function. Cannot be console.log. Going to be guest.html. Run this. Boop, boop, boop. Why is it all Tommy? Is it running like 10 times? Where Tom, Mary, Tom. What the frick? I'm assuming I got it right? Let's see how he does it.
Yes, of course, this function needs a parameter. Now, the parameter is going to represent each element in the array in turn. Now, this is an array of guests, so let's call each individual one guest. Now, in from the for loop, so let's replace that with guest. Now, I can delete the for loop, and let's hit save, and it is working.
He does it different. Return div class guest. So he basically just print out the guest. This is basically just put the guest into this HTML code, and then at the end he just document.getElement and display it. Right, so we return the value of this into guest.html. So guest.html is equal to this. So document.getElement.id list is it's an HTML. It's in the HTML here. So then we dot in the HTML just to display it, and equal guest list. Guest HTML. Okay, simple.
And that is fantastic useful skill for the future and for this course.
I'm assuming it's faster than for loops. I haven't seen like why is it a lot better though.
Now, we're still getting these annoying commas here. When you're ready to deal with them, move on to the next scrim, and I'll see you there.
Right, I will call the stream here. We will continue study later on during today.